Hi, this is Tony.
And I'm Henrik.
And we are from Sonata Arctica.
And you are watching and listening to Linea Rock.
Stay there.
Hi Tony and hi Henrik from Sonata Arctica. Welcome to Milan and welcome to Linea Rock.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to have you here. And the occasion is the new album, which is coming out on October 7th, 2016, the 9th hour, on Nuclear Blast, of course. And this is the 9th album, but maybe there's more behind this number, the number you chose. Actually, it's 9, it's 3 squared, and 3 is the perfect number. So,
wow, that's a new approach.
Right.
So it's going to be 3 times the perfect number.
Yeah, so 3 times
maybe
perfect. Yeah,
it's gonna bring good luck. So
I certainly hope so. Yeah.
So is there any reason behind the title in particular?
Behind the title, well, I first came up with the concept idea for the album cover and explanation what I want to tell there and say, and then later on after that I of course started thinking that this baby needs a name.
Yeah.
And I started by thinking that, well, it's a ninth album, ninth hour. Hey, that's nice. And although I'm not at all religious person, you know, I knew that that's biblical, that's from Bible, and it has meanings, so I had to be careful and check what it really means and what kind of meanings that it have. It may have many various ones, and it might necessarily not be the smartest idea to use such a thing, so I studied it a little bit and found this one line that fits perfectly my mind construction on the cover, and the line is that God only wants us to sacrifice and to repent on the 9th hour. Wow. And that's something that we really need to do as a human race.
And the cover artwork chosen for the album is very evocative, and it seems, you know, to represent the eternal conflict between man and nature. So just like, you know, the future is in human hands, but maybe not so much in human minds. That's what I got from it. And do you think that this balance, you know, man and nature, is in danger, or there's still hope, you know, still, you know, till death, you know, do us apart?
I think you're right on both accounts. It is in danger, but there is still hope, you know. So
yeah, we just need to be careful to not shake the balance like what I have there, this hourglass contraption. If it tilts in one or other direction, we will choose one of those alternatives that are on the cups instead of that utopian perfect thing that is surrounding everything on the album cover, where nature and humans and technology are in harmony together, and everything is beautiful and clean and nice. So and those alternatives are a dystopia, where we have managed to destroy nature totally, and there's only left human misery and awful weather and everything, and which will eventually lead to our demise, of course. And on the other cup, that's not really for human beings at all more pleasurable in some ways, because that means that we've been wiped off from the face of this earth. We have self-annihilated ourselves, you know, and all is left is nature, which has cleaned and healed itself, and everything is beautiful except that we are not there.
Who did the concept of the cover? I mean, you gave input to.
I came up with the concept, the whole idea and everything, what I wanted to have there, and then I sent my rough sketch of the idea to our cover artist, Toxic Angel, Janne Pitkänen. He's been working with us ever since Winterheart's Guild, so he's been around for a while, and originally came up with the Sonata Arctica logo back in 1999. We go way back. So I sent him the picture, and we talked on the phone for a couple of hours for a few occasions, and he made it perfect, you know.
Okay, and the wolf is still there.
Of course, you know, it's our
wolf,
animal.
You know, it comes on different covers and sometimes in the lyrics of the song. So, which is the special connection with wolves for Sonata Arctica?
Well, Wolf became gradually really that important for us. On the first album, we really don't have wolf per se. We have a werewolf story there. And then on the second album, it started to kind of manifest itself in form of wolf and raven. And ever since that, it has become a bigger and bigger thing because, I noticed that it's nice to use wolf as a metaphor. And I used it a lot in many songs, and it kind of created this kind of continuum between the albums, and here comes the wolf song again, and all that, and we started using it on the album covers and merchandise, of course, wolf shirts. So and at the same time, and because of that continuum, it also formed a sort of safe harbor for me. If I was drawing total blank, I didn't know what to write about or what to put on the merchandise shirts or whatever. It was like, wolf. So. And
do you believe in reincarnation? Maybe you, Tony, were a wolf in the life before?
I don't know. I don't really not. I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe I was an ant. I don't know.
An ant.
Or you will become an ant.
But what I love about wolf is the kind of the myth and the kind of mystery that is surrounding it in some ways.
And we saw some official trailers on Nuclear Blast YouTube channel of the band isolated in the nature, doing, the presentation of the record and maybe also recording it. Did you choose specifically to work in such an environment to find, the proper inspiration for the theme of the record? Can we consider this a kind of concept album?
Well, the clips that we shot were not at the same place that we did the recordings.
Okay.
So that was something we did afterwards, and we happened to have a show in a very scenic place, and we decided to shoot the video clips there. We were running late on those, as most things seems to happen, and then Tony shot his parts
on vacation in this beautiful location.
Okay.
But it's not. I wouldn't say the album isn't a concept album. The cover has a concept that connects with a few of the songs, but there's also other thematics than the environmental thing on the album.
And did you work more as a team this time, or Tony, you're still the mastermind of Sonata Arctica?
He is still, but he wasn't present.
I was like from. Tossing and giving advice and orders from the distance in a way.
Okay.
The thing was when we started to record the album, there was just a few songs ready, so Tony had to stay behind back home and write more music while we were recording it in the studio.
Oh.
But of course, at the end, Tony came to the studio when we had recorded like the basic tracks, and then we finished the stuff together and so make sure that everything is according to your vision or thought about it or whatever. But
Did this affect the album in any sense? I mean, the fact that you were separated while working sometimes.
This is not unheard of. We've worked at this manner before as well.
Okay.
It's drastically different from the way we worked with the previous album, Caserta, where we rehearsed together and recorded together and so on. But this time we didn't have that luxury or that option anymore because I think. The fact that we went on the North American tour with Nightwish for 7 weeks in the middle of that period that we should have been working on the album, it kind of had a tiny effect on the fact, and it caused a lot of stress and all that. But diamonds under pressure kind of thing. I suppose it applies to this one here.
It was. I think each and every album, when you work on and record, everything you do affects the outcome in some way. So, but it's really hard to analyze what kind of effect it actually had on the final product.
Yeah, and anyway, the band was like tighter, that's for sure. Playing live for 7 weeks.
So under pressure, actually, you give more.
It definitely. You could give maybe you end up having maybe a little bit different outcome. And I enjoy working really intensively on something, whatever it is that I'm working on. I want to really immerse myself in it and get into it.
And are you completely satisfied by the final result, or are you actually, when you listen back to it, it's like, well, maybe I would change this, I would change that, because you're continuing?
Yeah, of course you always find things that you could have done differently, but it doesn't matter that you're not happy with the final product. But when we finished the album, I was not happy with it at all. I was like,
really?
this awful shit. No, but that's the reason is that I was so really extremely close to it. I could see the pixels of the music basically, and I was like, no, there's like only pixels, and it's like, look, it sounds awful, the whole thing. But as time goes by, I've gotten distance to the album, and now I like it more and more every day. And actually nowadays I can listen to it completely, and I actually love it. Okay. I think it's definitely one of our best albums, at least.
Right.
And I love the songs, the melodies, and everything, and it's just beautiful. I just had to work in too intense, pace to get everything done. So I kind of. That's the reason why I developed this kind of twisted thought and saw the whole thing so wrong also. I think I heard and saw things in that music that no one else did. Because there are some mistakes that I thought were there that were left on the album. And now when I listen to the songs, I have no idea what I was talking about. Yeah. I can't hear those anymore. It's just like...
The thing is, it's really hard to find the balance between having too much time and too little time. Because I believe that when you start to work on something, if you have too much time, then you get nothing done, and it's kind of hard to focus.
Yeah.
And then if you have too little time, then you get stressed, and it might not turn out the way you want. So I think we were on the shorter side this time, but somehow we managed to come through at the end.
We had two enough.
Yeah.
The song Fly, Navigate, Communicate has something to do with the virtual world that sometimes we tend, to confuse with real life nowadays.
No, not really. Sorry.
Okay.
It's those. First of all, I think those are like aviation terms that the orders for pilots.
Okay.
But first and foremost, you need to be able to fly the plane. If it's like turbulence or whatever, make sure that the plane is flying and staying in the air and not crashing. The second important thing is to navigate, to kind of be able to direct the plane in a certain direction, and then you start to communicate. And I took those orders and that thing into this like human relationship environment, and I think it works in that as well. There are sometimes more important things to handle than communication, which at least a lot of Finnish people seem to have. Well, there's a lot of room to improve, I think. Depending on the people, it's a chemistry thing, but in this time, this is a human relationship.
And the song "We Are What We Are" expresses it in a positive or negative way. It has positive or negative meaning.
It can be probably seen in both ways, but of course, it sounds really gloomy that no matter what we want to do, we are what we are, and things will go according someone's plan, I suppose, that we have this creed and our qualities as human beings, and we can't change that no matter what. Okay. And if it seems that all these qualities we have are leading towards the destruction of this planet, we can't change that, it's maybe a song that is looking back from the future in a way. I think
looking back from the future.
Yeah. That's everything has gone already wrong, and hence it's we are not there yet, so we can change that. The future has not been predetermined. It's just predetermined. Yeah. So we can still change things and go in the other direction, as the album cover also.
Yeah. And self-producing for you is a matter of freedom and total control, or mainly a matter of spirit, to keep it in the family for better or for worse?
Well, it's something like, for example, with this album, we just ended up that way. And we have been talking about that in the future. At some point, it would make sense to work with a producer. But so far, we haven't managed to build up the courage to actually do that. And I think if you find the right person to work with, it could benefit the band a lot. But if you find the wrong person, it could destroy a lot. So it's a double-edged sword, I think, at least with us, because when we start to work on music, it's usually pretty clear what we are doing, and there's not too much second guessing and stuff like that. And so I think we might want to try that at some point, and we've been talking about it for several years actually, but once again we did it by ourselves.
Yeah, I think the moment where we would most urgently need like an extra pair of ears and someone outsiders like really educated opinion on things is the final process when we are mixing and still maybe recording something, and we can change something really fundamental about the songs, and we are already getting tired ourselves. And that would be the right moment to kind of practice this, have a trial round with a producer and introduce someone in, and if it works really well, then maybe with the next album
they can be
have that courage to bring that person in already in the songwriting process, or when we are rehearsing the songs. I need to have my freedom to write the songs the way I want, and then the arranging is a different thing, Like it might be a good idea for someone musically smart to come and make suggestions that you might want to. This song would work really well if it was like slower or faster or whatever, like that.
Your sound evolved more than ever in the last few years. Can the fans expect any radical change on this new album, The Ninth Hour?
No, not in my opinion. It's pretty much in line with previous album, Pariah's Child, and
I think the overall sound is different, but it's not something that should be a shock to anybody. It's within the framework.
It's a guarantee.
Yeah, it's within reasonable amount of it's within reason, I would say. It's not too out there.
And Pariah's Child did very well in the charts in Finland. Does The Ninth Hour continue on that exact path?
I hope so.
Yeah, exactly.
But the only kind of, I think, if you will, problem with such things that as long as I remember really been following the charts, metal music and rock music has been the mainstream thing. It got really big like late 90s.
Yeah.
In Finland.
Yeah, in Finland especially, and it stayed that way until just recent years when this pop music and rap music and whatever it started to kind of rise a lot. And nowadays there are like rap artists who are selling out huge venues and stadiums and whatnots, and not so much metal bands. There are only Nightwish can pull off something really big in Finland right now.
Yeah.
From this genre, so it's with hopeful minds we go forth with this album, and it'll find its audience, which I'm sure it does. But it's just that like part of the people who listen to music who are not really bound to one certain music style that just go from one place to another all the time, which is a richness, of course, but still that they follow a trend set by someone outsider, like TV channel or label, whatever. Those people have kind of drifted in a different direction, I suppose.
Yeah. So we lost all our fans to rap music.
Yeah. We can print that on a shirt.
I didn't. Yeah, sure.
We lost all our fans to rap music. Gosh.
Okay, so Closer to an Animal, a metal mid-80s kind of song.
Yeah, Henkka said it out loud, and now everybody thinks so.
It is the first single and first lyric video, and it's also the opening track of the album. So it must be a massive, important song, fundamental. Is it a sort of hinge, the essence of the new message?
I think it has like some valid points, and along with the cover team, it connects with that very well. But musically, I don't think it represents the whole album at all. It has some of the key elements that you can find in other songs as well, but I don't think it's a very diverse representation of the album. Then on the other hand, I don't know which other song could be that either. So
I think this Closer to an Animal was the song that when I wrote it, I immediately know that this would be the album opener. It got an album opener. It opens the doors to the album, and I think it's the only song that fits that slot from this pack of songs that we have right now. So it was the best. And even before I wrote the lyrics, so and I had only the music. I didn't know what this song would be about at the time. So
but it's gonna be a song that we're gonna play a lot of times, because if we do like we have done so far, whenever we release a new album, we on that tour we start the shows with the first track of the album. So right now it's still a good song, and let's see after 200 shows how much we like it.
On Paradise Child it was like Wolves Die Young. It's kind of it's
works.
still there. It still feels good and right, and that's actually the first time that we think that we're actually going to play the album opener also and the tour opener also on the next tour. Because it still feels fresh and good.
Yeah, it happens on all the previous tours that when you play one song, like you start the show with it every show, then on the next tour it's not there anymore. Yeah, you just fed up with it.
And there's a track which stands out in particular, White Pearl, Black Ocean Part 2, By the Grace of the Ocean, which reconnects to another track on Reckoning Night from 2005. Why this choice, and how the new lyrics evolve from the closing amen of the original track?
Well, musically, first of all, this second part kind of continues from where the first one left off with Ocean, and slowly building up towards this speedy solo writing part, and where the story advances, and then slowing down again to this happy ending sort of thing. But when I started writing the song, I was faced with the fact that I killed the two main characters at the end of the first one. So that was like, that's not necessarily the best starting point if you want to have a sequel. So I had to revive the two characters. So what happened there is that they didn't die after all. Like the lady was somehow miraculously washed away from White Pearl and drifted ashore, and was saved by someone, a fisherman or whatever. And
there's always hope.
There's always hope, yeah. And that dude, that the main male character in the song, he like rowed his boat on the reefs and tried to drown himself there, but failed.
It's a very movie-like thing. You make a movie first and kill off the characters, and then you realize that you need to make a second one, so you find out some mystic plot to revive them. And it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out really well. Yeah. There was like certain amount of stress involved also in the creation of that song, because it had to be a worthy follow-up for the song that means so much to many Sonata Arctica fans. So it was a kind of monumental task to undertake, and I remember vividly the moment that I took it on. I found this new, perfect, nice orchestrating sounds, and they were really inspiring. And I made this small bit of music, and but I like it. It sounds a little bit like White Pearl Black Oceans Part 2. But I took Instagram and hashtag White Pearl Black Oceans Part 2, and and now it was out there, and I couldn't back down anymore, and I had to actually get it done. And that was my meaning too, that I had then forced myself to get it done.
And do you feel that the fans will love it?
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, because it continues something. It's not trying to remake anything or try to be anything other than it is. But it's just like a second part. It tells something more. The future. Everyone's going to know what happens. After the movie ends.
Yeah. On October the 20th, 2016, you'll be playing the Alcatraz in Milan with Twilight Force opening act. Did you pick them personally, and which are, in your opinion, the most interesting and promising new acts in metal at the moment?
We did pick them personally because we knew that for various reasons this first European tour is going to be really short, and we had to check who was ready and wanted to come out. And since we played with them before when we did Eclipticava Europe, and it worked out really well, we thought, why not ask them again? And they were up for it. They have a new album now, and we have new albums, so the show is definitely going to be a lot different from what it was last time, even though it's the same lineup. As far as new metal bands go, There's a few that I've been watching now, like or it's more of hard rock. I think Santa Cruz and then Lost Society and those younger bands in Finland that have been around for a few years now and coming up.
And well, maybe we could consider Twilight Force still a young band, and they are.
What's the name of Antoni's band?
The new one.
Yeah.
Psychworks.
Yeah, that was also kind of good. Yeah. Psychworks. I think they have a new album coming out.
Antoni Parviainen from Machine Men.
Okay.
The once finished band that is no more. The same two guys are running it. So yeah.
Now that you are at the peak of your creative inspiration, how do you feel about the first two albums, Ecliptica and Silence, which helped you, to break through and emerge from the underground scene very quickly, actually? But that is maybe pure power metal, and is it still in your DNA? What do you think?
Of course, it never goes anywhere.
Okay.
It'll always be there in form of double kicks and such things.
Yeah.
And the first two albums, especially Ecliptica, we remade it, so I had a chance to kind of redeem myself and make myself a new version of some of the songs that had bits and pieces that kind of bothered me in the original. But that was not the reason we did it, but it offered me that chance, so I was happy. And for the longest time, I remember I was not happy with the album at all. Maybe I was too close, still. And then I saw that I was so raw still at the time, and couldn't, it was far from anything professional, the making of first album from the part of the band. And but nowadays, I'm much older. It was a long time ago. It seems that way. I've grown up, and those songs and the first album, when I listen to the original one, it takes me back in time when I was younger, and it has its own kind of nostalgia already.
And that's a good feeling?
It is a good feeling. Nowadays it is. And then it's the things that bothered me on the original one, they have their own kind of value as well, I suppose. They are cute, I think. It's nice to notice that I've actually developed in
maybe
some
a bit naive as well.
Naive, yeah. Youth and excitement and feeling of danger and whatever. There are a lot of things that you cannot reproduce at a later age.
Yeah. So it's 15 years of Sonata Arctica, 16 maybe actually. Do you have
20 years of this band in
of
all?
Of course.
Yeah.
Do you have any special celebration in the plans? And looking back, what you treasure the most of your career up till now? Your highlight, a moment, a snapshot, any regret, any remorse?
Well, we're gonna celebrate this year. We have one thing that we did maybe 10 years ago or something, and we have forgotten to do that. Every company, like normal companies, they also have a Christmas party, and we've forgotten about that for years. And now we decided with the guys that we're gonna throw a Christmas party at some point during the tour in the States, because we haven't done it for a year. So that kind of celebration, but that has nothing to do with the stuff that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But it will be at some point close to Christmas, of course. It's a Christmas party.
At least closer to Christmas.
Okay.
So and I think it's going to be December 22nd when Sonata Arctica will be 21 years.
Wow,
or
great.
This, not Sonata Arctica, but like the band.
The band, yes. Yeah. Tony, there's a video on YouTube of yourself performing a cover of Queen Bohemian Rhapsody with an orchestra. 2 days ago, on the 5th of September 2016, would have been Freddie Mercury's 70th birthday.
It's hard to imagine.
And to commemorate, the International Astronomical Union named an asteroid after him. An asteroid or an undisputable star with the name of a planet, so it sounds perfect. Okay, how cool is that? By the way, has Freddie been an influence on you as a vocalist and performer, and Queen as a band for you as Sonata Arctica?
Queen, for me, it was the first band that really hit me big time, and it's my first love musically. I had been listening to random music before that, so that was the first band that I kind of acknowledged that I love this band and I want to hear everything they have ever made and know the lyrics of almost all the songs and everything, and I was totally into it, and it definitely has had big impacts on my musical growth, and I think partially, at least, you can hear Queen influence in my music somehow. Melodic songs, and I suppose in some ways also Queen had and has like a huge variety of different styles they have done along the years.
Yeah.
And that kind of applies to us as well. So I've never been like shy to try and do something totally different, and it all will eventually just blend in and become part of the history and the band's life, make it richer. And the band had a big impact on me, and of course Freddie Mercury had a big impact. But I at an early age I realized that there's no way for me to kind of reach that kind of height. So I waited for a different kind of singer to kind of function as my inspiration, and that was Timo Kotipelto of Stratovarius when I kind of found Stratovarius, and that was a big start. And later on I may have like risen my bar, and I was brave enough to do Bohemian Rhapsody and whatnot.
Is that your favorite Queen song?
No, it's not. But it's probably one of the best known, and it's fun to do with an orchestra, of course.
Yeah. What orchestra is that?
Well, I've done it twice, and once it was an Oulu Symphony Orchestra, an actual real symphony orchestra, and the second time around, I suppose the one that you saw, it was in Kemi, in my hometown, and that was like Kemi Town Orchestra spiced with some members from the Oulu Symphony Orchestra. So that was fun, and I'm going back to do this big Sonata Arctica show with them.
Okay.
Like symphony orchestra and me. That's going to be fantastic.
Okay, thank you guys for your time for this interview. And
thank you very much.
See you actually pretty soon at the Alcatraz on October 17th. And
absolutely.
Thanks once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rock on.
Yeah.
Cheers.